Hi guys, today I want to continue our discussion on human consciousness. Previously, I talked about how most current scientists embrace the view of consciousness generated by the brain, wherein the mind comes from brain alone. This mind-brain unity hypothesis is different from early dualism theories, which suggest the human body and soul are separate. Each human possesses a non-physical and spiritual soul that confers consciousness, thought, and free will. With advancing technology, researchers have been studying the generation and transmission of the electric signals by the firing neurons in our brains. These signals of brain activity are called brainwaves, which are electromagnetic waves directly related to our consciousness. So, thoughts are non-immaterial, and consciousness can be measured through electrodes placed on the scalp. But is that a sufficient reason to conclude that's all human consciousness is? Biological neurons, cells, brainwaves, and definitely no separate souls. Before making a judgment call, we need to examine some intriguing phenomenon which actually point to the soul-body dualism direction, such as near-death experiences and memories of past lives. These two examples are absolutely fascinating, and the good thing is they have been well documented with scientific studies. In this video, I'll start with near-death experiences. Let's see what that might reveal about our consciousness. A heads up, there are twists and turns, so please watch till the end. Near-death experiences are an extraordinary phenomenon across cultures and history, shared by countless individuals who almost died but ultimately survived. These experiences are commonly described as intensely vivid and realistic, while involving bodily sensations that give a strong impression of being real, more real than memories of true events. Although the specifics vary, most near-death experiencers depicted a profound feeling of peace at the moment of death. No pain, a detachment from one's body, floating above and observing things below, traveling towards a bright light at the end of a tunnel, seeing one's life flashing before their eyes, and meeting deceased relatives, loved ones, or supernatural beings. After they came back from it, they usually felt like that they went through a meaningful evaluation of life and feel as one with something universal. The accounts of near-death experiences are remarkably consistent in character and content across the globe. This commonality suggests that near-death experiences might rise from something more fundamental than religious or cultural expectations. It's very possible that such experiences are indeed what we all encounter at the end of our lives. Near-death experiencers remember the realer-than-real sensation of leaving their bodies and floating in the air looking down, then ascending towards light, which naturally made one believe that these are signs of life after death and souls being separate and independent from the body, especially when some cases were documented with brain-dead patients. Since most researchers now consider the mind comes from the brain, many propose that perhaps near-death experiences reflect changes in how the brain functions as we approach death. Multiple scientific investigations utilized electroencephalography, EEG, to study near-death experiences. A 2022 large study led by researchers at NYU Grossman School of Medicine and elsewhere documented 567 people from 25 medical institutions in about 3 years who received CPR following a cardiac arrest during hospitalization. In the less than 10% of survivors, 1 in 5 reported the lucid, heightened experience that occurred while they were seemingly unconscious and on the brink of death. The research work included tests for hidden brain activity. A key finding was the discovery of spikes in gamma waves, along with other types of brain waves up to an hour into CPR. Gamma waves normally happen when a conscious person is performing higher mental functions, including thinking, memory retrieval, and information processing. Gamma waves can also induce lucid dreaming. Therefore, scientists think gamma brainwaves could be an indicator of the hyperreal near-death experiences. Another interesting discovery of this study is that a person's consciousness does not die when the body dies. The EEG brainwave data can persist for a brief period after the heart stops beating, which means that the human sense of self and consciousness, much like other biological body functions, may not stop completely around the time of death. Related studies have established that EEG activity continues in approximately 20% of brain-dead patients. Cerebral blood flow is detectable in 5%, and the pathologic destruction is not seen in at least 10% of cases where normal blood circulation has been maintained for more than 24 hours after brain death. These findings imply that current methods used to ascertain brain death may not provide the information needed to confirm irreversible loss of all clinical functions of the entire brain. Therefore, even when a person is pronounced dead or brain dead, his or her brain might still be active in some capacity for a short period, and if the person gets resuscitated during this time, then he or she might recall a conscious experience. Now, the event of a strong and sudden brainwave spike or surge before and even after death has been confirmed by other studies. In 2009, researchers reported that 7 patients who were at end of life and had life support withdrawn exhibited a surge of EEG activity. The observed brainwave surges appeared from 1 to 5 minutes, a more than sufficient duration and strength as to account for the near-death experiences. In 2011, another record on more than 100 similar cases, where about 80% of end-of-life patients showed an EEG surge. So, the spikes of brainwaves, especially gamma waves on EEG, might correlate with the vivid near-death experience, and the persisting brain activity on the EEG data can potentially explain why in certain cases, people who are declared dead can come back to life and tell others that they were conscious the whole time, even when their bodies were non-responsive. To people who believe mind and brain are inseparable, that consciousness does not exist without a brain, these studies can be taken as proof that near-death experiences are basically what a dying brain produces when the brain cells lack oxygen and blood flow, toxic fluids not being able to be flushed out, etc., which result in this almost drugged, hallucinogenic kind of state. But to people who contemplate that a soul and body are separate entities, they might perceive the EEG surge as a sign of the soul detaching or removing itself from the body as it travels to another realm. The thing is, although there are plenty of observations of brainwave surges that occur simultaneously when one's body is shutting down, we don't know what causes this surge of heightened brain activity. Is it a natural thing, or does it relate to something spiritual? In 2013, a research paper demonstrated that similar surges of highly coherent brain electrical activity, particularly gamma waves, appeared in rats in the 30 seconds after cardiac arrest. This finding suggests that the mammalian brain is naturally highly activated at near death. If such EEG surges do relate to near-death experience, then not only humans but also rodents would have similar episodes. So, it can be true with other animals. This argues that near-death experiences might not be a unique human phenomenon, but a shared, natural process at the final moment of life. Furthermore, if near-death experience is evidence of life after death or souls separating from the body, then does that mean humans and animals could all have souls? Besides the similar EEG data shared between humans and rodents at near death, I found out that there are further parallels concerning human and animal brain activity. For instance, studies show that brainwaves of both humans and animals synchronized during social interactions. EEG scans also indicate that dogs learn when sleeping, just like people. Based on these findings, it seems we are not that different from other animals after all, right? Then what distinguishes us from other animals? What makes us human? in spite of the fact that we humans are in many ways animals. One thing we can't deny is that we are, at least in certain senses, fundamentally different. The majority of animals cannot even recognize their own reflections in a mirror. Your super adorable puppy or your smart-looking cat. Sorry, but neither reaches to the consciousness level to realize they're staring at themselves in front of a mirror. In reality, very few animal species have passed the mirror test. These include chimpanzees and other great apes, some rays, dolphins, orcas, and Eurasian magpies. Granted that primates possess the closest near-human consciousness, which account for their reacting to themselves in mirrors, there is a world of difference that separates stimulus-response cognition, a monkey recognizing its body in a mirror, versus a person conceptually recognizing him or her oneself. Despite their psychological sophistication, a primate likes the complex, convoluted, highly symbolic understanding that humans have. Which leads to the fact, while some animals do use simple tools, early humans not only utilized the tools, but also designed and manufactured them. People do more than just manipulate their environment. They build and repurpose their surroundings in an astonishing manner. They constantly develop better technology and eventually landed rocket ships on the moon and Mars. These amazing achievements are light years ahead of any other known organism on Earth. So, humans are undoubtedly very different from other animals. And the biggest factor that enables these accomplishments is our powerful cognitive ability, which is facilitated by the brain. Our brain is the single crucial element that makes us human, and consequently should showcase significant differences from animal brains, both physically and cognitively. Physically, we know humans and animals have dramatically diverse brain sizes, neuron counts, neural structures, and more. For example, a human brain contains around 86 billion neurons. Dogs have about 2 billion, gorillas 33 billion, and elephants 257 billion. Then there is encephalization quotient, the brain-to-body ratio. These physical markers exhibit quite obvious differences between humans and animals. In contrast, the EEG method, which measures electric signals of brains and represents different brain activities, shows similar brainwave patterns while reading human and animal brains, whether during sleeping, social interactions, or near death. I searched for EEG charts of humans and rats, and to a layperson like me, they look very much alike. It's said that the waveforms in a human EEG is far more complex than in rodents, and this is related to the steeper decay of the power spectrum, which implies the more complex human brain waveforms are not really caused by the depth or sophistication level of human brain activity. Considering that human brains are so much more powerful and set us apart from other animals, I can't help but assume that when brain activities are recorded, there should be clear signs proving this amazing feature of human brains. I don't know if the current EEG technology can make that type of detection. From what I gathered, today's EEG is useful to see the big picture of general brain functioning, like to use brainwaves to differentiate an active thinking state from sleeping. Yet it fell short on providing meaningful information on the diverse awareness or consciousness level between humans and animals. As an example, gamma waves can be detected from a human or a dog, and gamma waves on both subjects relate to higher mental functions. A dog can't even recognize its own reflection in a mirror, so higher mental functions for a dog can be strikingly distinct from that of a human. There is likely no comparison on the cognitive degrees between a human and a dog, though on EEGs, we see similar patterns with gamma waves. So here's the question. Is EEG a sufficient method to measure and illustrate the vast cognitive capacities of human brains? And back to our topic. If EEG is a rudimentary tool, that cannot denote the nuances of the extremely complex brain activities, can we confidently use its data to conclude that similar brain patterns observed between humans and animals at near death represent similar experiences? Are we projecting human consciousness into animals again? The surge of brain activities involving gamma waves at the end of one's life is a common observation. The rodent near-death experiments show EEG surges on all tested subjects. The multiple human end-of-life studies show at least 80%, sometimes 100% of patients have EEG spikes. Some scientists have proposed the surge of terminal brain activity could potentially explain the hyperreal near-death experiences. However, despite such prevalent EEG surges, near-death experience is not that common. Since these experiences are known for their intensity and vividness, it's unlikely the experiencers would forget about such an exceptional event. But most people who went through a life-threatening illness or injury do not report near-death experiences. The 2022 study recorded that 1 in 5 reported a lucid experience. Numbers from other studies range from 17% to 35%. So, there is about a 70 to 80% discrepancy. Even though the surge of EEG is exceedingly common and would happen to almost anyone that is dying, only a minority of people have had near-death experiences. Why is that? This makes me question whether the EEG surge is a good indicator or not of near-death experience. Perhaps the natural brainwave spike at the time of death is only part of the story related to near-death experience, and there are other unknown factors not shown in the EEG brain activity. Could it be that a near-death EEG surge is a natural process when a living body, human or animal, is facing imminent death, while the near-death experience is unique to humans and might only partially involve the brain? Can consciousness exist without a brain? Is it possible that our brain is the physical substrate of higher-level consciousness, but to ignite this consciousness, we need something else? There is so much unknown and so much to think about. At the end, I want to quote the lead investigator, Dr. Sam Pernia of the 2022 research, that a near-death experience is a purposeful, meaningful re-evaluation of every aspect with a focus on morality and ethics and how they conducted themselves. Don't you find it too much of a coincidence that all these individuals with various backgrounds and differing interests share the same profound near-death experience? It's almost like that these unrelated people all have the same dream. What are the odds of that? What's more, near-death experiences sound like the closing chapter of a long training program where the professor wants you to self-reflect and ponder what you have learned. Could this reveal what our life is about so far as its true purpose and meaning? Is it a training ground? A school? What do you think? By the way, I plan to make another video on memories of past lives and reincarnation. If you have any insights, please leave a comment. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel and share with others. You can also support me on Patreon, which is a monthly charge, or on Buy Me a Coffee. I appreciate your support. This is Curious Being. I'm Tina. Thanks for watching and see you next time.